You're PCSing to the Fort Benning area and you're trying to figure out where in the world am I going to live. So in today's video, I just want to kind of cover a little bit of everything that you probably want to know when moving to the Fort Benning area, because it is very important. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, Alex Acuff here with eXp Realty, the Acuff Weekly Group. If this is your first time to our channel, make sure to subscribe as well as hit the bell notification, because if you're looking for everything eating, sleeping, living, playing around the Fort Benning area, then you have found the right channel. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we're getting reach outs all the time from people PCSing to the Fort Benning area, and we absolutely love it. So if you're looking to make the move to the area, I want you to go ahead and reach out to me and my team. We'll post a link below in the description, as well as pop it up right here on the screen. So moving forward, we're going to talk about PCSing to Fort Benning, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you should probably know. I'm going to kind of cover a little bit about the different areas, as well as things that you should know, whether you're moving here individually or with a family. And we'll talk about that basic allowance for housing, of course, and maybe some opportunities in the market. So let's jump right in on that basic allowance for housing, the BAH. So if you were in the military, you probably already know a little bit about this, but if you don't, I'm just going to go ahead and hit on like some quick parts of this program. So if you're in the military, based on your rank, if you're not married, it depends on if you get allowance for housing, a basic allowance of housing. If you're married, you do get it as well. And the only way to capitalize on getting that basic allowance for housing is actually to live off a base. And it also depends on where you're at. So if you're stationed in, let's just say, Fort Drum, it all depends on the zip code of where you're at and the average amount for rent and housing in that area. And so one thing you need to know, I will say it's a great opportunity to capitalize on what the military is allowing you to have. What you may find is that the average amount for that rent or that basic allowance for housing, it may be more than what the mortgage is going to be if you're buying a home around the Fort Benning area. So if you're looking in Columbus, Georgia, Phoenix City, Fort Mitchell, Smith Station, Harris County, Catala, Midland, you name it, you may find that you're going to be able to get into a house at a pretty darn good price. So you definitely want to make sure that you're very aware of that. Another thing is that with that basic allowance of housing, it may allow for you to, make some extra cash on the side as well. So for example, a girl on my team, her and her boyfriend moved here, and he does get a basic allowance for housing based on his rank here at Fort Benning. And so they live off a base, and so they get about $1,400 a month. When they were stationed in California, they actually got $2,500 a month. So pretty big difference, but it's also the difference in the cost of living of the areas. So I do have other videos about the cost of living. So if you want to check those out, just make sure to go to Living in Auburn, Alabama. We are based out of Auburn, but we cover Columbus, Georgia, Phoenix City, Smith Station, Harris County, basically East Alabama and West Georgia, and all around the base as well. So just make sure you're hitting up our team. Another thing to consider with the basic allowance for housing is when you have the ability to use the VA loan to buy a home. And so basically you can go out and use a VA loan, which you can get 100% financing on a house, and you're still getting that basic allowance for housing. So that's kind of a nice feature, being able to put 0% down and use the military, the basic allowance for housing, to help pay down that house and really build equity in something if you don't have any funds saved up, because it is a great opportunity and it is a great way to reward the people that do serve our country. Next, we're going to get a little bit into the areas. A lot of people do reach out to us and ask us about the different schools. So for families that are moving to the area, individuals with kids, they're always asking us, what's the best school district? Where do I want to live? One thing I'll go ahead and tell you, all the data that I do get as far as schools in the area, and it is very accurate because I am from the area. So I will tell you, as a local person to the area, this website's actually pretty accurate. If you go to niche.com, niche.com, and you just search Columbus, Georgia, or Phoenix City school system, or schools in the area around Fort Benning, if you just type in Fort Benning, it's going to pull up a lot of great schools. You're going to find schools like Columbus High, which is the #1 magnet high school in the entire state of Georgia, which is great, right? There's also a phenomenal private school in Columbus, Georgia, Brookstone. Another school, Pacelli's, really good as well as the Smith Station School District is pretty highly rated as well. Phoenix City is not too bad either, but just make sure to check out niche.com PCS'ing.com for those rankings. And, there's tons of good elementary schools all around the area. And another place to check out, if you are on there, look at Harris County as well. It's just north of Muskogee County, which is Columbus, Georgia. And so make sure you're checking out that area. If you have the opportunity to, if you really want to get into a pretty phenomenal school district up in the Auburn, Opelika area, those are two pretty highly touted school districts for Opelika City Schools and Auburn City Schools as well. So they do very well as rankings, and that's a good area to check out as well. Next, we want to talk about those areas that you probably want to live. Let's just say you don't have kids and you're looking for that area to live. If you want to live really close to the base, if you need to be near the jump school, Fort Mitchell is actually going to be a pretty good choice for you, especially if you're looking for convenience. It's actually in Alabama. When you go to Fort Benning, you're like, okay, I'm going to Georgia, right? Well, really, you're right there on the river, which is the Chattahoochee River. And right across the river, you've got Fort Mitchell. And there is a bridge there that connects to Fort Benning. And yes, it is a gate. You can access it. So Fort Mitchell is actually a pretty good place to look at. One of the things that Fort Mitchell is really known for is you can get a lot of house for a lot less money. And I don't know if that was based on basically the builders that built a bunch of homes over there or the quality of the builds, but we found that down in Fort Mitchell, you're able to get a lot more bang for your buck. It kind of stretches the bill a little bit further. And then also we'll just kind of stay on the Alabama side. And so just above Fort Mitchell, you've got Phoenix City. Both of these are in the Russell County area. You've got Phoenix City. There's tons of great places to live all around Phoenix City. You're going to be able to get a little bit bigger lots. Usually, if you're more in the west Phoenix City side, you're going to find you're going to be able to get a little bit bigger lots. And they're also pretty quickly accessible to that bridge that hops over into Fort Benning through Fort Mitchell. And just north of there, you've got Smith Station, which has got a lot more land as well. You're going to find, homes on a couple acres. If you find county homes, a lot of times they're going to be sitting on anywhere from 1 to 3 acres. Sometimes, actually a lot of times even more. But it's just going to get more rural as you kind of get out of the city, right? So as you leave Fort Benning, and then as you continue climbing north, you're going to run into Opelika and Auburn. And I'll go ahead and tell you, if you're not from the area, if you look on a map, you can see that you kind of have all of Columbus, Phoenix City, Harris County, Smith Station. It's kind of in this bubble, especially if you look at the actual Google map, the actual satellite map. And what you'll notice over on the side is Auburn, Opelika just kind of sits in its bubble, and they're like sister cities. And so we'll talk a little about what there is to do there, but it is a nice place to live, and it's something that we'll get into as far as time zones as well. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about those. On the Georgia side, just north of Fort Benning, you're going to have Columbus, Georgia. Absolutely massive area. So it's a very large town. It's very much expanding. It seems like all the new construction, if you're looking for a newer home, you're going to be stretching out towards the east end, towards Midland, and even a little bit north to Catala, all over the Harris County area. You're going to find that there's new neighborhoods popping up all over. Some of those, there's actually a lot of local big builders out of the Columbus area. You do get a lot of the higher production volume builds. But one thing that I do know is that you're going to get a lot of local builders as well. And their turnaround times are pretty good. And so they work with a ton of people utilizing a VA loan. So if that's you, I think it is a good choice. You can reach out to us. We've got a full list of all the companies as far as builders. And we can kind of give you the ins and the outs. We build homes with clients pretty much every week. We're the masters of what I call the blue tape process. And also fortunately, my dad is a home builder, so I kind of grew up in the industry. So if you want a little bit of insider knowledge on that as far as the area, I'd love to help you out on that. And we've got a great team that covers the entire area. And as you continue climbing above Harris County, you're going to get into more of like LaGrange and West Point. You're going to keep going up what's called 185, which is, we like to call Columbus the largest cul-de-sac in the United States. So it's a little bit of a joke. So as you go and you're living in the area of Fort Benning, you're probably not going to stretch above Harris County, to be completely honest with you. So I'll just kind of stop there as far as where you're going to want to live. I'm not going to talk personally about anything south of really Fort Benning. I'm not from those areas. I don't serve those areas. But if you are interested in living south of the base, feel free to reach out to us. We've got tons of great partners we can absolutely hook you up with, because we're not afraid to set you up with someone that's going to be an expert in the area that you're looking, because that's really the most important part, especially when working with an agent. Okay, since we're already on the subject of properties in Alabama versus Georgia, something you're going to go is, which one should I choose, right? Should I go to Alabama or should I go to Georgia? A couple things I'm just going to hit on. I'm not going to really tell you to pick one or the other. I think it's very much a flavor for each person that comes here. But I will tell you the property taxes in general are going to be less in the state of Alabama. I personally think you're going to get a little bit better value of a home in the state of Alabama. The accessibility to Fort Benning is pretty much the same. Over in Columbus, you are going to get a little bit higher tax brackets, and it really does depend on where you live. There are areas with a little bit lower taxes, but it varies a lot. I will say Alabama is a lot more consistent on their taxes. Another thing to consider is time zones. So if you're not from here, you'll quickly realize that there's two different time zones. So just beyond Phoenix City, Smith Station, the time zone swaps. If you look at Alabama, there's that little tiny like knuckle in the state. So as you look at that, you can see that the time zone runs right on the side of that in Alabama. And basically there's Smith Station, Phoenix City, and then there's Columbus, and that's all on Eastern time. And then as you climb up to Opelika, right? And that's all on Central time. So time zones, I will say, my number one advice, if you are moving to the area, turn off the auto time zone on your phone. It will save you so much heartache, so you're not late or an hour early to something just because your phone decided it didn't want to swap time zones. So there's your bit of advice. Next, I want to talk about things to do in the area. And so if you're moving to the Fort Benning area, you're probably wondering, gosh, what are we going to do? There's actually a ton to do, which is the great part about it. So Columbus, Georgia, right down the river, you've got the downtown area. There's tons of really nice boutique shops and a really good bike shop. You've got the Riverwalk that's right there. It's actually, if you're not familiar with the Riverwalk, it's over 20 miles, and it actually goes from right in about the middle of Columbus all the way down the river into Fort Benning. My dad is a cyclist, so he rides it all the time. So you just go down and back. It's like 20 some miles, and it's a nice, easy ride. So on the weekends, you can rent bikes. If you're going to rent bikes, probably just go down to Ride On Bikes in downtown Columbus and rent a couple bikes. People do it all the time. If you're a skateboarder, a rollerblader, it's also great for that as well. And then also for kids, there's also a kids park as well down by the river. And there's just a ton of neat things to do down there. There's also zip lining. There is whitewater rafting, which is huge. You wouldn't think that Columbus is really well known, or Phoenix City well known for that kind of stuff, but it actually is. They've got incredible rapids that they created several years ago. I think probably about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And it's phenomenal whitewater rafting. It's a great opportunity to either take some friends if you're hanging out on the weekend and want to find something to do that's local. And then there's also zip lining. You can actually zip line. It's kind of a novelty thing. You're going to do it probably once, twice, maybe with your kids a couple more times. You can also check out that as well. It's in the same area right there on, I think it's Front Avenue or Bay Street, I think. Bay Street, maybe. So there's also some other places you can go. There's Providence Canyon, which is actually south of Fort Benning. Providence Canyon is not too far away. We call it the Little Grand Canyon. It's a really cool place. If you're big on photography and nature, I think it's a really fun place to go. North into Harris County, you've got Roosevelt State Park. You've also got Callaway Gardens. There's a lot going on there. There's great golf courses all around Columbus and up into Harris County. As far as Phoenix City side goes, there's a brewery in downtown. You've really kind of just got you've got the amphitheater, which they have a lot of concerts at. There's a disc golf course actually right there on the river on the Phoenix City side. You don't really notice it, but it's right near the bridge right there on, I think it's right near the 13th Street Bridge. That's where it's at. So right over by Chattahoochee, I think is what that's called. There's also bike shops as well. There's a Trek store in the Phoenix City area. Also on the north end of Columbus, there's tons of shopping. There's movie theaters, Best Buy. One thing about Columbus that I will say is that it has better shopping than most of the local areas around it, better than LaGrange, better than Auburn, better than Opelika, better than Phoenix City. So if you're going to look for a place to shop, that is it. So there's a lot of other things to do, and you can look them up. If you just type in things to do around Columbus, Georgia on Google, you're probably going to find an entire website dedicated to telling you exactly what there is to do. And I probably missed a ton, but check it out. There's also a bunch of CrossFit gyms as well. Next, you need to think about your travel as well. When you come to Fort Benning, you're probably going to be wanting to do a little bit of traveling. And so I'll tell you, we are really well placed for traveling. We're 3.5 hours from the beach. We are an hour and a half from the center of Atlanta. So for phenomenal shopping and eating and hanging out, you are 45 minutes from Auburn. If you want to go to a D1 school, an SEC football game and get that experience, baseball, basketball, gymnastics, Suni Lee is at the university committed to another year. So if you like gymnastics, you want to see world-class athletes, Auburn University has definitely got it. That's really phenomenal stuff. I will say growing up, I was a Columbus State University Cougar, and so their basketball program has always been pretty good over the years. So if you want to see some D2 basketball, Columbus State University's got good basketball, trust me. Next is baseball. They do have Golden Park, so you can check out Golden Park. It's right near the Riverwalk. I think the Savannah Bananas have come down and play, and I believe there's been other games, as well as the Columbus River Dragons, which is the local hockey team as well. So always check that out. It's down at the Civic Center. That's a ton of fun. It's like Southern Hockey League, probably plenty of fights and plenty of fun. Lots of fun opportunity to just kind of hang out with the friends. And then also the restaurants around Columbus. You got the Salt Cellar, Black Cow. You've got Indigo. You've got the Loft. There's just a million places to go that are just phenomenal places to eat. If you want to head up to the Auburn Opelika area, I will tell you a Food Truck Friday in downtown Opelika is a ton of fun. And then also up in Auburn and Opelika, it's really a food scene. You've got Acre Restaurant, Bow and Arrow. You've got Cafe 123 in Opelika, Zazu, Gastropub, and then also there is several other restaurants all around the area and breweries as well, and a distillery, John Emerald. So you need to check that out. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Now, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video on everything I could absolutely offer for you guys PCSing to the Fort Benning area. Of course, it's not everything. I want you just to reach out to me and my team. We'd love to hook up with you guys with a Zoom call and get to know you and your situation and how we can help you make that transition to the Fort Benning area a lot easier, and also give you a friendly face and a friend in the area. So if you're looking to make the move, reach out to me and my team. We'd love to help you, and make sure to subscribe, like, leave us a comment. Is there something that we missed about PCSing to Fort Benning? I want you to let me know down in the comments. So until then, we'll see you guys on the next video.